So Hunter Biden is back in a brand new interview, and I highly recommend you go out of your way to find it. Go over to YouTube, look up Hunter Biden Returns, and just sit back and enjoy the show, because it is so good to see Hunter Biden opening up and speaking it out. And folks, I for one am here for it. Hunter Biden has been dragged for years, and we've never heard his side of the story. He has had the right wing use him as the boogeyman. He's had the right wing paint him as the biggest villain in the world. He's had the right wing mock his drug addiction and belittle him for that. He has had his personal life strung out there for the world to see. And now he's free to talk, and he's opening up and talking. And once he does open up and talk and you hear him speak, you realize what a likable guy that he is. And I'm hearing from people that I know that don't even like Joe Biden and definitely used Hunter a couple of times as their boogeymen that are saying to me now, Brando, he seems like a likable guy. And I think this video really could serve as a message to the Democratic Party and to people on the left in general, because for far too long, we're very willing to just throw people away over mistakes. We're very willing to just throw people away the first time something comes out on them that we don't like the sound of. We're real quick to throw people under the bus. And I think that we need to embrace people and understand that everybody's human and everybody makes mistakes and everybody goes through dark phases in their life. And someone like a Hunter Biden shouldn't be cast out. And it's for moments like this. I'm going to show you a couple of clips. We're going to start right here where he is asking the same questions we're asking about the Epstein files. This is a really good clip, but then we're going to dive into more of his personal life, and it's really good stuff. Take a look.
Part of Trump's diversion tactic is bringing the stuff about you back to the forefront.
Yeah, so that's exactly it. Is like, and what does he say? Hunter Biden's laptop. We talked about this ad nauseum. I don't get it, I do get it. I fully understand what he's doing. And it's like clockwork when he gets in an uncomfortable position. And the question is how far does he take it? Like, it began with saying that he was going to revoke Rosie O'Donnell's, citizenship. See how many hours we can get people talking about that rather than talking about this.
Yeah.
And then when it wasn't that, then it's, he moves on to something else. And I'm his favorite go-to conspiracy.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
President Trump saying Hunter Biden has had Secret Service protection for an extended period of time, all paid for by the United States taxpayer.
It just must be kind of a crazy, full circle moment for you, because for so many years, he's like, the laptop's got the secrets. And the Epstein kind of thing that he was like, one day I'm going to drop it. And you guys are going to see, man, I was right.
But the bottom line is the records are getting out.
And now, we're on the other end of it, and he's like, there's no list, and you guys should look more into Hunter again.
Yeah, exactly. Take a look at that. Take a look at that laptop, as if everybody hasn't looked at the laptop.
Yeah, Hunter Biden has always been Donald Trump and MAGA's go-to boogeyman, and all you got to do to get people talking is mention that laptop, and everyone will run for that story and ignore all the corruption that is going on from the real crime family that is Donald Trump's. And so I can't imagine what it would be like to be in Hunter Biden's shoes and know that, hey, when the going gets tough for Donald Trump, he's always going to throw me under the bus. I'm always going to be his go-to villain and go-to boogeyman. But what I really loved about this interview, and I highly recommend you watch the whole thing, because he talked about his feelings on El Salvador, which I covered in a previous video that I did on this. What I really enjoyed about this interview was when we got to see a peek behind the curtain at who he is as a person. And this really was touching to me as someone who has battled addiction in the past myself, who's been in rehab myself, and who has fucked up royally in my life myself. It was really good to see this human side of him and him just talking about his art. And it's actually pretty mind-blowing. Take a look.
Well, I continuously paint, since the fires out here. It's been a little bit more disjointed, but...
I guess the better question is, how would you describe your style for somebody unfamiliar with your work?
I think one of the things is I am a maximalist in a lot of ways. My paintings kind of start out simple, and then I just sometimes can't stop. But I usually have an idea in my head of a concept of what I'm going to do, and then I just let the process take me to wherever it goes, which is kind of cool, because every accident turns into kind of a cool opportunity.
What's the symbolism behind this one right here?
I don't know. Do you see the figures in that?
I'm seeing a bird, and it looks like there's a Mesoamerican flair to it, but I'm also seeing the all-seeing iris. So there could be kind of a Saharan Mayan fusion.
Yeah.
But that's just me trying to say stuff
I love it.
that I don't necessarily understand.
I love it. And that's the coolest part, I think, about painting is that, I started it with the kind of an intent of what it meant to me. But the cool part is if somebody else comes in and has a completely different interpretation of it. And, you realize that I think that's kind of the coolest part about making art is that once you release it to the world, I think you're the first person outside of family that's seen that one.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. There's a mother and there's a father. And it's almost, I think more than anything, now that I've finished it, it kind of comes from kind of the stained glass imagery I grew up with in my Catholic church in St. Joe's in Delaware. But clearly, you see a bird, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, real quick, I got to nerd out just for a second. He had a picture of Hunter S. Thompson hanging behind him, which I do also when I'm sitting inside, and several of my tattoos from the bat over here to the buy the ticket, take the ride to the mushrooms. My whole left arm is kind of loosely inspired by Hunter S. Thompson and a lot of my favorite writers over here. So as a songwriter, I'm not an art. I can't draw a stick. I can't draw a fly. I can't draw a stick figure. I suck at art. But I've been a songwriter since I was 15 years old. So damn, that's freaking 30 years now. Holy crap. Anyway, I've been a songwriter for a long time. And, there's times that I've played one of my songs for somebody and I knew what it meant and I knew what I was thinking when I wrote it. And then someone would come at me with a completely different interpretation of it. And sometimes the interpretation would be cooler than what I originally was inspired by. And there's been times where I've been like, well, no, that's not exactly what I was thinking when I wrote it, but I would like to take credit for that. I would like to go ahead and tell people that your interpretation was why I wrote it, because it's cooler than why I wrote it. And that's the beauty of art. And, just to see that side of him sitting there explaining his art, I imagine that as he goes forward, anytime you go through traumatic times, you release that art. I know that that's what happens with me in songwriting. It's like I'll go a long time without writing a song, and then all of a sudden, some bad shit will happen, and then you have time to deal with it and face it and confront it, and then you end up writing a whole album's worth of music before you knew it. And so I imagine after the last couple of years he's been through, that art's just going to get even better, because art's a way of expressing your pain and expressing what you went through. And in this clip we're going to cover here, he talks about what it's been like the last 4 years to be, the one that MAGA has always taken it out on. I really enjoyed this section of the interview. Take a look.
It has been kind of a cruel 4 years in many ways. I'm like eternally grateful for right where I am right now. As much as these people have kind of been the ultimate expression of evil, at least in my lifetime, is that it kind of fills me with an enormous sense of purpose, not just in my art, but what I'm doing. I just think that there's such an opportunity to be of service right now, and not in a, some kind of melodramatic, way, but a lot of people that are, getting the shit beat out of them out there right here in LA. And there's an enormous opportunity for just normal people to do kind of heroic things, whether it's protecting somebody that's about to get kidnapped off a street, if you witness it, to like, I'm working with a group now called BASTA, the homeless prevention, and just started actually as the director of development for BASTA, which is the leading homeless prevention and tenants' rights group in Southern Los Angeles.
Like, you protect people from like eminent domain style evictions?
Well, from eviction, and we're the only group in at least Southern California that represents undocumented, and so we don't take any federal money. And by the way, it's not just El Salvadorian immigrants, it's, Ukrainian immigrants that, came in under duress from what's going on in Ukraine and find it really hard to find work because of the fear of employers that they're gonna disrupt their business because of ICE raids and things like that. And then they lose their income. And almost all of these people are families and children. And if you can keep someone in their apartment or their home, you obviously also keeping somebody off the street in homelessness. And what you find is, like, when a child becomes homeless, like the road back to any chance of normalcy just becomes exponentially harder. Harder and harder.
Folks, I gotta say, I have never seen a moment where Donald Trump or any of his kids, or anyone in MAGA for that matter, has ever reflected on their life and talked about the hard times they've been through, and then talked about how they would go about making their life better and the progress that they had made. Every time Donald Trump or any of his kids or anyone in MAGA ever opens their mouth, it's always to blame somebody. It's always a witch hunt. It's someone that's always after them. Hunter Biden never said a word of that. You can listen to that entire interview, and yeah, he talks about being used as the boogeyman for the right, but he doesn't sit there and blame everybody. He doesn't sit there and say that everything was a witch hunt and everyone was out to get him. He went through some dark times. He hit rock bottom. He took life on the chin. He got back up, and he's made something out of himself. And he's doing good things, and he's doing good things to help people. And that's why I say to people on the left, you know, what I said at the start of this video, I really feel that we really need to be more forgiving of people and understand that people do make mistakes. People fuck up royally at times, and they get back up and make something of themselves. Whenever MAGA fucks up royally, they just continue to fuck up royally until Donald Trump gives them a pardon. And then they just continue to double down on their cruelty and double down on their bad behavior and expect everybody to, you know, to give them a pass for it. And they walk around all self-righteous about it. And, you know, I can really relate to Hunter Biden when I watch that video, because I'm somebody who is always, you know, I'm not an artist like that, but I've been a songwriter all my life mostly, and lived through some dark times. And, you know, I think one of the things that people thinks about our side a lot of times is we're a bunch of goody two-shoes, and that we've never lived it or we've never been there, when the truth of the matter is people like us have. Donald Trump's the one that never walked down a dirt road. Donald Trump's the one that never lived it. Donald Trump's the one that's never really seen hard times or knows anything about it. You know, he's somebody that's always cried witch hunt, always cried the game was rigged, and always tried to blame somebody else. But, you know, the real people to me are the people who goes through the dark times and comes out the other side of it and makes something of themselves. You know, I spent most of my life, I grew up in a poor town. I started to say the poor side of town, but the whole damn town was poor, and it still is. And, you know, I struggled to get by. And when I got out of high school, the only real options around here was either a couple of factories, coal mines, or retail. And I was a songwriter and guitar player who just wanted to get out and have a good time. And so I went out there and I hit the backwood dive bars, and I played for 100, 150 bucks a night and a pizza and a case of beer and some gas money. And I did that and floated around this part of the world for years. And I'm lucky to be here. I really am. I raised a whole lot of hell, and did things that I look back on and go, whoa, that was a major mistake. That was a royal fuck up. Or, you know, I damn near died or put myself or other people in danger right there. But, you know, I hit rock bottom, went to rehab, came out the other side, got clean, fucked up, slipped backwards, fell down, got back up again. That's what human beings do. You know, that's just what human beings do. And I think that it would serve our side a lot better to see the more human side of people. And instead of just seeing someone sitting up there parroting the same political answers that we've heard for years. You know, if Hunter Biden was just sitting there parroting his dad and just parroting the Democratic Party, there wouldn't be people saying to me, Brando, I like that dude. I dig that dude. I didn't think I would like him, but once you hear him talk, he's a real likable dude. Looks like the kind of guy that I would have hung out with back in the day. I'm hearing a lot of people say that. People that couldn't stand his dad. People that didn't vote for his dad and couldn't stand his dad and used him as the boogeyman in their story. They're starting to go, wait a minute, you know, that this guy was just like the rest of us. He went through a lot of hard times, came out the other side. But where he's better than a lot of people is he came out the other side and is doing something good for himself. And that's not something you can say for Donald Trump or anyone in MAGA. And I think people just really need to stop and think about that. And I would encourage them to. And I would encourage them to go over and watch that entire video, because it truly is worth it. And yeah, Hunter Biden is someone, he's someone on my bucket list that I would love to talk to here on the channel. So if anybody out there knows how to get this video to him, throw it over there. And yeah, that's somebody that I would go out of my way to sit down and talk with, because that's somebody that's relatable. There's nothing relatable about the Trump family to me. Nothing. Where I grew up and what I went through, there's nothing that is relatable. And that's why I could never get behind it, never understand it. First of all, there's nothing relatable, nothing for me to get behind. And second of all, they've just absolutely destroyed our country and our Constitution and everything that we ever held sacred. So, you know, I'm not a person that likes to punch down at people, so I don't get off on that. I'm not a person who likes to be cruel, so I don't get off on that. And so Donald Trump offers me nothing, you know, and offers this country nothing. He just blinded a bunch of people with their rage, and they aimed it at the wrong people. And if people on the other side would watch the Hunter Biden video with an open mind and people on our side for that matter, would watch it with an open mind, you'd realize we've either A, been that guy before, or we have family members that have, and we stood there by them regardless. That's what people needs to think about when watch that video. So I highly recommend you go check it out and and watch it with an open mind, because that's the type of people we need to hear more from. I really believe that our side really needs to hear from the real people who have lived it, instead of the people who are just always mimicking the status quo.